The Minnesota Wild Podcast is presented exclusively by Acrosure. It's time for Tom Reid's Hotline. Text in your comments or questions to 64686. You can win fabulous prizes, including dinner at Tom Reid's Hockey City Pub or Wild tickets to a future game. And now, Tom Reid's Hotline.
Well, things were groovy after one period of play when the Wild led the Avalanche 2-1, but we got shades of last night in period number 2. Avalanche all over the Wild all of a sudden. Wild being doubled up 4-2 after 40 minutes of play. Tom Reid out there at Ball Arena. I was pretty impressed with what I saw in that first period, Tom, but boy, have things shifted there in period number 2.
Yeah, they really have, Kevin. If you look even the shots on net in that second period, I mean, 14 shots now they've awarded to the Avalanche, and of course they had 3 consecutive goals. Minnesota had just 5 shots in that second period. So the shots right now 29-15 in favor of the Avalanche, and that was a bad period for Minnesota. They had a stretch there. It seemed to be going okay, and then all of a sudden they just started to slow down, making mental errors on the ice and their positioning and where they're going to be and what they're supposed to be doing out there. But it's got to be difficult in that locker room right now, and I'm sure the coaching staff not very happy with the results they've had after 40 minutes of play.
Feels like it started to unravel when Drouin scored, got back behind the defense, slipped behind everyone, took the awesome pass from Shillington and beats the goaltender, and then 42 seconds later they do it again, but it feels like it all started to unravel with the Drouin goal.
And you're right, Kevin. The thing is, you can't get mesmerized by where that puck is all the time. You've got to take a look and see where the men are and see who's coming with speed, and you have to be able to counter that and get in a position where you can help out if the puck does come to that direction. But Minnesota right now is just they're fragile, is what they are. I mean, they don't have a lot of confidence in what they're doing, and the only thing way you get the confidence back is to work a little bit harder and get some goals. I think once you get the goals, then all of a sudden the confidence starts to come back, and you think you can do it. But Colorado did a great job in that second period, getting 3 successive goals.
All right, let's start with this one from the 612 area code, Tom. How did the Wild mature as a team enough to avoid or at least minimize the times in a game when you like to say they fall asleep? It happened last night. It certainly happened in the second period tonight, unfortunately. How do you get around that?
Well, you know what? It's the work ethic of the player also. The player has to realize where they are on the ice and what's happening here, but they can't just sit back and say, well, I'll let so-and-so take that guy. Get to the guy. Don't get behind the guy. You got to get in front of these players coming in. You've got to, get yourself in a position, get a piece of them, use your stick. Lots of different things, but it almost like they're coasting out there at times. And you've got to win the battles. And Minnesota, the last few games, is not winning the type of battles they need to win.
From the 763 area code, one thing that you can't teach is speed, and Colorado has a lot of it, especially from their top-end guys. From that 763 area code, Tom, how do you coach against speed? What do you do to counter a team that's got speedy players like a McKinnon, a Natchez, etc.?
Yeah, when you look at Taves and you look at McCarr and McKinnon and you look at Gerard and you look at Lehkonen and you look at Malinsky, I mean, all these guys have speed out there, but Minnesota's got to find a way to counter that. And you do it, you have to do so much individually, but you have to do it collectively also. And that's where the communication has to be certainly front and center when you're on the ice. And just watching some of the replays on the big board here right now of Minnesota defense falling asleep here. Now, I understand that, they've made a lot of changes, putting different people together, trying different things, and that's what the coaching staff has to do. But the players have to react to that, and they have to say, okay, here's the communication on the ice is critical. And you always want to make sure you have someone backing you up, and I don't think that's happening to Minnesota right now. They're both following the play, and no one's looking where those guys are sneaking off to the side or getting the speed up where they get the puck, they can go in on Gus by themselves.
One of those changes was moving new guy Vinny Hinostroza to the top line tonight. That's what Ariana from St. Cloud wants to talk about. Hinostroza pretty much been on a tear since joining the club to the point where he's on the top line tonight. What's he doing that's making him effective with the Wild?
I think number one, he's moving his feet. I mean, and then that's paramount. If you're going to play in this game, you have to be able to skate it. I mean, all the time. You can't just coast when you feel like coasting. You've got to get the legs churning, and when you do that, all of a sudden good things are going to happen. But he's one of those guys that has stepped up for Minnesota also, and hopefully that will continue. And I know that listening to John Hines, they're pretty happy with what they've seen from him so far and the effort that he has put forth.
From the 320 area code about Marcus Foligno. What do you like about Marcus Foligno? A lot of people complain about him, but there's also a faction that really enjoys his game. Where do you land, Thomas?
You know, when you look at him, he's not built for having a lot of speed. I mean, what he brings to the table is very important for a hockey club. He brings that physical presence. He's out there. He's a leader, both on and off the ice. But at the same time, you still have a job to do on the ice. And when you falter it, and for whatever reason, we sitting in the stands don't know if someone is hurt, they're having problems with the equipment. You have no idea what's happening on the ice there with the player. But at the same time, a player like Foligno he's getting up also. He's getting one of the senior members of this hockey club, that's for sure. And he's going to be around for a while, but he's got to have some help. He can't do it all by himself, but he's got to play the part and make sure that when he steps on the ice, he has a job to do, and he's got to do the job just like everybody else does.
Got a text here from Anchorage, Alaska, so of course I got to work that in, Tom. They want to see an exhibition game in Anchorage. What would you think about seeing the Minnesota Wild and some other team play a game up there in front of the Wild fans in Alaska?
Well, it depends when it is. Is it in the summertime?
Probably the darkest time of the year. Who knows? Have you ever spent any time in Alaska?
I have been to Alaska. I spent some time there, about probably 10, 12 days. Beautiful, beautiful country. Fishing and looking at the bears up there. They have the big. Make sure you stay away from those guys, though. But it's a beautiful place. And it would be kind of fun to have a game up there. I mean, the fans certainly would come out to enjoy it. But I don't think they have a facility big enough to handle the number of people you'd need in order to pay for it.
Yeah, it's funny because you listen to some of the college guys back in the day making the trip to, whether it be there was 2 Alaska schools that had teams, and that's a heck of a road trip. Even if it's just for a weekend, it's an ordeal.
Oh, it really is. And you know what? In the wintertime, it is dark 24 hours a day. But the summertime, it's gorgeous. You just have very little darkness. And I can remember being up there and went golfing there, and had to be careful and make sure, because the moose would walk across the green and leave those big divots. And when you do that, all of a sudden your ball doesn't quite roll the same way.
Free drop. Fairbanks and Anchorage. Those are the 2 spots that the college guys would go to. Thomas, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tom Reid at Ball Arena. Best question or a random question is going to get a pair of tickets to see the Wild and Bruins Sunday in St. Paul, a matinee. I just found out puck drop will be 2:45 on Sunday afternoon. So get your tickets. If you don't get my text message, it's easy. Wild.com/hockey tickets. Right now, the Wild have some work to do in the third period. They trail the Avalanche 4-2. We'll give you a recap next. This is Wild Hockey presented by XL Energy.
For an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.